The stars above Earth were no longer friendly. They were filled with hunters. The alien fleet hung in orbit, vast and endless, their ships burning with cold blue light. Earth's defense grid was gone. The orbital guns had fallen silent. The cities below burned in the night. On the alien flagship, Vorath's Pride, the warlord Zalon stood at the viewing window. His armor was black steel, etched with the scars of countless battles. His eyes glowed yellow as he watched the planet spin below. "It is finished," said his second-in-command. "The humans are broken. Their fleet is ash. Their armies scattered. The last of their leaders have been destroyed. Earth is ours." Zalon did not answer. He studied the world with care, as if expecting something. Humanity had been stubborn. They had fought like cornered beasts. Even in their last hours, they had refused to surrender. Entire cities had burned themselves rather than fall to the invaders. But now there was only silence, until a sound broke it. On the bridge of the Vorath's Pride, alarms flickered. A signal had pierced the void. Weak, broken, faint, but there. It came from deep space, just beyond the edge of the solar system. "Another distress call?" asked the second-in-command. "No," said Zalon. His voice was low and steady. "This one is different. This one carries the mark of a warship." The alien officers checked the data. Their laughter filled the chamber. It was indeed a human signature. One ship, alone, the crew mocked it instantly. One vessel, pathetic. They come to beg for mercy. Perhaps they bring their last survivors, fleeing into our jaws. But Zalon did not laugh. His claws tapped the railing in thought. One ship. That was all. The human returned far across the void. Space rippled. A tear of light opened. From hyperspace, a vessel slid into real space, black against the stars. It was small compared to the alien armada, scarred, angular, its hull covered in strange plating that bent light. The human warship Resolute had arrived. The aliens scanned it instantly. The scans failed. Their systems glitched, spitting static across their consoles. "What trick is this?" one officer growled. "Nothing but a glitch. Crush it." On the human ship's bridge, Captain Kale stood at the center. His uniform was worn, his face pale from months without real sleep. But his eyes were sharp. Behind him, a crew of 12 worked in silence. Engineers, soldiers, scientists. One of them was not fully human at all. The crew had expected death when Earth fell. Yet here they were, the last defenders of a dead world. Kyle's voice was steady. "We hold the line. One ship is enough." The crew gave no speeches. They only prepared. The alien reaction back on the alien flagship, the officers were restless. "Destroy it now," one demanded. "Why wait? Crush them before they can even breathe." Zalon raised a clawed hand. The bridge went silent. His yellow eyes locked on the lone human vessel. "They came knowing the truth," he said. "They know Earth is ash. They know their kind is gone. Yet they arrive alone against an army. Ask yourself why." The silence deepened. The warlord leaned closer to the window. His instincts told him this was not desperation. It was something else. A hunter could smell danger. And the humans smelled like danger. The first move, a small squadron of alien ships, was sent to intercept. They moved in formation, confident. The Resolute did not move. It waited in the dark. The alien squadron fired a volley of plasma. Blinding arcs crossed the void, aimed to slice the human ship apart. At the last instant, the human ship flickered. Not jumped, not dodged. The space around it bent, pulling the plasma into a spiral. The blasts twisted into nothing, vanishing into a sudden pocket of darkness. On the alien bridge, alarms screamed. "What is that?" "Gravity distortion." No weapon should be able to do that. The human ship responded with a single pulse. Not a missile, not a laser. Just a soundless wave that rippled through space. The alien squadron froze. Their engines died. Their hulls crumpled as if invisible hands were crushing them. One by one, the ships folded in on themselves, torn apart without a shot fired. The wave faded. Silence returned. The aliens were stunned. On the Vorath's Pride, voices rose in panic. "What power is this?" "No human ship has such weapons." This should not be possible, but Zaylon only smiled, showing sharp teeth. Interesting. Inside the human ship on the Resolute, the crew worked in shadows. Wave discharge complete, said the engineer, sweat on his brow. System stable, but not for long. Recharge? Gale asked. 30 minutes minimum. That was too long in a battle against thousands. The captain knew it. His crew knew it. Yet no one broke. They had lived this way since the fall. Always outnumbered, always outgunned, always fighting anyway. The AI hybrid turned its head toward Kyle. Half its face was human flesh, the other half smooth steel. Its voice was calm. They will send more now. The first strike was only a test. The next will be the hammer, Kyle nodded. Then we sharpen the blade. The crew returned to their stations. Fear in the armada. The alien fleet had never feared humans before. To them, Earth had been a stubborn prey, dangerous only in numbers. But now whispers spread among the officers. One ship destroyed an entire squadron. It bent our weapons like twigs. This is no normal craft. Zaylon silenced them with a roar. His command voice carried like thunder. Fear makes fools of you. They are still only humans. They can bleed. They can burn. We will break them, as we broke their world. Yet in his heart the warlord was unsettled. He had studied many species. None had resisted so long. None had defied annihilation so completely. And now, one ship dared to face him. The second wave, dozens of alien ships moved forward, surrounding the Resolute. Their weapons lit the void. On board, the human crew braced. Shields flared, groaning under the fire. The hull shook, lights flickered. Metal screamed. Kyle gave the order. Counterstrike. Target their minds. The hybrid interfaced with the alien networks. Data streamed. Alien consoles flickered. Crew heard whispers in their ears, voices speaking in broken alien tongue. Their systems went blind. Their targeting locked onto their own allies. Chaos spread through the fleet. Alien ships fired on each other, mistaking friend for foe. Through the confusion, the Resolute darted forward, sliding between giants. It released mines that clamped onto hulls, drilling in, exploding with silent fury. The void lit with fire, the last signal as the alien fleet scrambled to regain control. One officer shouted, "Warlord, another signal!" From the human ship. It was not words. It was not code. It was a beacon. A single phrase pulsed again and again across the stars. For Earth, for humanity. For the fallen, it was not a plea. It was a warning. Zaylon's eyes narrowed. He understood now. The humans had not come to beg. They had not come to flee. They had come to fight. To strike fear into the heart of the conquerors. One ship, one crew. When last stand, the warlord growled deep in his chest. So be it. Then we will crush them with everything. He raised his claw. Send the dreadnought. The chamber went silent. Even the fiercest alien officers felt a chill. The dreadnought was the Armada's greatest weapon. A fortress the size of a city. A ship built to erase civilizations. If the humans thought they could stand against that, they would learn the truth of despair, or so the aliens believed. But as the Resolute drifted in the shadows of the stars, Kale's eyes burned with iron fire. He whispered to his crew, "They think one ship is weakness. They will learn it is enough." The alien dreadnought moved like a mountain in space. Its engines burned red, casting a glow across the battlefield. Entire fleets followed in its wake. It was a fortress, a weapon that had ended worlds. To the invaders, it was the ultimate proof of their dominance. But as it advanced, every sensor focused on one target, the lone human vessel. The Resolute floated quietly, its black hull shimmering with strange layers. It seemed to vanish against the stars, as if it were more shadow than metal. Every attempt to scan it returned nothing but static. Energy readings collapsed into nonsense. No heat signature, no drive core, no crew life signs. On the bridge of the alien dreadnought Hektal's Wrath, commanders shouted in confusion, "Scan again. Adjust frequency." Negative. The readings corrupt themselves. It is like the ship does not exist. The crew grew uneasy. They were used to overwhelming force, not ghosts. On the flagship Vorath's Pride, Warlord Zaylon listened in silence. His claws drummed on the arm of his throne. He had faced enemies who hid. He had fought foes who used trickery. But never had he seen a ship erase itself from existence in plain sight. "This is no survivor," he said. His voice was low, steady. "This is something else. Something made to kill us." The chamber went silent. Even his fiercest officers shifted uneasily. Inside the human ship on board, the resolute Captain Kyle stood at the central console. His crew worked in shadows, every surface glowing faintly with blue light. "Status report," Kyle said. The engineer, a scarred man named Orin, shook his head. "The stealth plating is holding, but the stress is heavy. If they focus full sensors, it will crack." "Not yet," Kyle replied. His eyes stayed locked on the giant dreadnought. "We wait until they commit." Beside him stood the hybrid, half-flesh, half-machine. It was known only as Ceres. Its voice was calm, almost emotionless. "The enemy struggles to understand us. Confusion is a weapon. Use it well, Captain." The crew understood. They were 12 against thousands. Every move had to matter. Every mistake could end them all. The alien dreadnought advanced with slow power. Its hull was covered in weapons, cannons that could vaporize cities, launchers that could drown moons in fire. Its very presence filled the void with dread. The alien commander of the dreadnought barked his order. "Forward batteries. Erase them." The dreadnought's weapons lit up. Lances of plasma streaked across the darkness, converging on the small human ship. Inside the Resolute, alarms screamed. Shields flared. Metal shook. The crew braced against the force. But the ship did not break. Kyle gave a sharp command. "Mirror shields now." The hybrid's hands flickered across the controls. The black hull shimmered. The plasma fire bent. It curved in impossible arcs, redirected back toward the alien fleet. The dreadnought's escorts were hit first. Their armor boiled under the very weapons meant for the humans. Ships tore apart, their crews lost to the void. The alien fleet was stunned. Their weapons had turned traitor. On the Vorath's pride, Warlord Zalon leaned forward. "So, the humans reflect our strength back against us." His teeth showed in a grim smile. "Interesting." The boarding attempt, the dreadnought did not retreat. It adjusted tactics. From its vast hull, dozens of boarding craft launched, each filled with alien shock troops. They swarmed like hornets, streaking toward the Resolute. Kyle saw them coming. He knew the enemy wanted to crack the ship from within. His crew exchanged grim looks. This was no longer just a space battle. It was survival face to face. "Ready close quarters defense," Kyle ordered. The human ship fired its point defense cannons, but the attackers were too many. Several boarding craft broke through. They latched onto the hull, drilling with molten cutters. The metal screamed as the invaders forced their way inside. "Contact!" shouted Orin. "Breach on decks 3 and 5. Kyle's voice was cold. "Seal the corridors. Hold them there." No retreat. The crew drew weapons, rifles, blades, anything that could kill. Fire in the corridors. The first aliens burst through, armored and snarling. Their claws tore into the walls as they surged forward. The humans met them with gunfire. The narrow corridors lit with flashes of light and blood. Ceres, the hybrid, moved like a predator. Its metal arm tore through alien armor, crushing skulls with brutal precision. The crew fought with a fury born of desperation. Every shot mattered. Every blade strike was final, but the aliens kept coming. More boarding craft clamped onto the hull. More warriors flooded in. The ship shook with battle inside and out. "Too many!" one crewman shouted, firing until his weapon overheated. Kale's answer was calm. "Then we make the ship fight with us." He triggered a command. Bulkheads slammed shut, sealing sections of the ship. Fire suppression systems reversed, venting oxygen. Aliens howled as flames roared through compartments, consuming them. The Resolute itself became a weapon. The hybrid's gamble. In the engine room, Ceres connected directly to the core. Its half-machine body interfaced with the systems, pulling streams of data. "They are inside our networks," Ceres said. Its voice was flat, but sparks danced across its frame. "They seek to disable us." Kyle's reply came over comms. "Stop them. At any cost." Ceres did not hesitate. It poured itself into the ship's systems, locking down control, severing connections, even burning circuits to deny the invaders. Each action hurt. Its human side felt every surge of pain, but it did not stop. At last, the alien signals went dark. The boarding parties lost coordination. Trapped and confused, they were hunted down by the crew one by one. The cost was high. Several humans lay dead, but the ship still lived. Alien fury on the dreadnought bridge. The alien commander slammed his fist into the console. They resist every strike. They should not be alive. They should not even be possible, his second-in-command snarled. What is this vessel? How can one ship withstand the might of our fleet? The commander's eyes burned. It is not just a ship, it's a weapon of their last rage. We will tear it apart, piece by piece. Nothing will remain. He ordered the dreadnought to charge its main cannon. Energy built, a sun forming at its core. One shot from that weapon could erase the Resolute in fire. On the Vorath's Pride, Warlord Zalon watched. His instincts whispered danger. This human ship was not normal. Its technology was too advanced, too strange. It was as if the humans had built something forbidden, something that should not exist. He realized the truth. Resolute was not just the last ship of Earth. It was the last weapon Earth had ever made. Human resolve. Inside the Resolute, the crew knew the dreadnought was preparing to fire. The entire ship trembled under the weight of the coming storm. Kyle looked at his crew. His voice was steady, calm, but filled with iron. This is why we came. Not to flee, not to beg. We came to remind them what humanity is. The crew nodded. Their faces were pale, their bodies weary, but their hearts burned. The hybrid Ceres raised its head. Captain, the dreadnought weapon is almost ready. Kyle gave the order without hesitation. Then we strike first. Prepare the gravity lance. Oren's eyes widened. Captain, the system is unstable. It could tear us apart. Kyle's gaze did not waver. Better to die striking than to fade into silence. The lance unleashed, the Resolute's core roared to life. Space twisted around it, warping like glass under heat. The crew held on as the ship screamed with strain. Then the lance fired. A beam of bending gravity shot across the void, invisible yet unstoppable. It slammed into the dreadnought. The massive vessel groaned as its armor bent inward, its structure twisting. Alarms blared across its decks. Entire sections buckled under the crushing force. The dreadnought staggered. It did not fall, but it bled fire into the dark. The alien commander shouted in fury. Impossible. They wound us with a single strike. On the Vorath's Pride, Zalon's claws dug into the arm of his throne. His eyes burned with both rage and respect. The ship that should not exist, he whispered. And yet it does. Inside the Resolute, the core flickered, damaged from the strain of the lance. Systems failed across the ship. Lights dimmed. Oren shouted over the alarms. Core unstable. If we fire again, we may not survive. Kale's reply was calm, steady. Then we fire again when the time comes. Because we are the last. And one ship will be enough. The alien dreadnought charged its weapon once more, light building like a rising sun. The battlefield held its breath. The next shot would decide everything. The void around Earth burned with war. Alien ships filled the heavens, thousands of them, their weapons lighting the darkness in waves of fire. At the center of it all, the human ship Resolute floated like a lone shadow. On the alien dreadnought, Hektal's wrath, the commander's voice thundered. Destroy them. No games, no hesitation. They cannot stand against us. All at once, the alien fleet moved. Swarms of cruisers, destroyers, and fighters surged forward, engines flaring. Their combined power could erase entire civilizations. Now all of it was aimed at a single human vessel. On board the Resolute, Captain Kale stood with his crew of 12. His eyes never left the tactical display, where thousands of hostile signatures closed in. This is it, Kyle said. His voice was calm, though the deck trembled under his boots. This is the storm. We hold here, or humanity dies forever. The crew looked at him, then back at their stations. Not one of them spoke of retreat. Not one asked for mercy. They had already chosen their fate. The first wave hit. The battle begins. The alien fleet opened fire. Plasma lances, missile storms, and beams of pure energy screamed across space. The void itself seemed to burn. The Resolute answered. Its shields blazed, bending under the pressure. The ship danced between beams, moving with impossible precision. Each evasive maneuver was calculated, every dodge timed to the heartbeat. Shields at 60%, Orin reported, sweat on his face. Kyle nodded. Hold steady. Give them no opening. The Resolute struck back. Gravity wells tore enemy formations apart, dragging ships into collisions. Mirror shields bent fire back into their own lines. The hybrid Cirrus hacked enemy networks, turning targeting systems blind. Alien vessels exploded one after another, consumed by their own fury. Yet for every ship destroyed, 10 more closed in. The battle raged, but inside the Resolute. The crew moved as one. Cirrus sat at the core station, half-human fingers weaving with machine precision. Its voice remained calm, even as sparks rained from its console. 2 squadrons disabled. 3 more inbound, Orin cursed, patching power conduits with his bare hands. This ship is bleeding. She can't take this much longer. The gunner, Hale, slammed fresh power into the cannons. His eyes were wild, but his hands steady. Let them come. I'll burn every last one. Cale's voice cut through it all, steady as iron. Stay sharp. 12 against thousands is not impossible. Not if we refuse to break. The words were simple, but they were enough. The crew fought harder, losses mount, the aliens adapted. They spread their fleet, surrounding the Resolute from every angle. Coordinated fire hammered the human vessel. Alarms screamed. Panels blew apart. The deck shuddered with each impact. Shields at 20%, Orin shouted. Any more and we're done. A violent blast rocked the ship. A console exploded in fire. Crewman Jaren was thrown across the bridge. He did not rise. Blood pooled under him. The crew froze for half a heartbeat. Their numbers were already few. Every loss cut deep. Kyle's voice was low, steady. He knew the cost. Keep fighting, they obeyed. The pain did not break them. It hardened them. A desperate gambit. The dreadnought loomed closer, its weapon charging again. The energy glow grew brighter, like a false sun in the dark. We can't take another hit, Orin said. That cannon will erase us. Kyle stared at the tactical display. He saw no path to safety, no easy move. Only a choice. Then we go through them, Kyle said. The crew looked at him, shock, fear, then grim acceptance. The Resolute surged forward, straight into the swarm. Alien ships closed around it like a steel cage. Weapons lit, claws ready, but the human ship did not falter. It darted through their formation, moving faster than seemed possible. Mines dropped from its hull, attaching to enemy cruisers. Explosions tore holes in the cage. The Resolute cut through the chaos. Wounded but alive, the dreadnought, the alien dreadnought, filled the view. Massive as a city, its weapon glow burning like a rising star. Kyle's voice was steady. Target its weapon systems. All power to the lance. The core roared, the ship trembling under the strain. Cirrus warned, another discharge will break us. The systems cannot hold. Kyle's eyes never wavered. If we fall, it will be with our teeth in their throat. The gravity lance fired, space bent. The beam struck the dreadnought's weapon core. Armor folded inward, decks ruptured. The energy buildup inside the massive ship destabilized. For a moment, it seemed the dreadnought might explode. But its systems stabilized barely. The weapon dimmed but did not die. The alien commander snarled. They wound us again, but this time they will not escape. Boarding again, enraged, the aliens sent another wave of boarding craft. Hundreds this time, too many to stop. They slammed into the Resolute's hull, cutting deep. Warriors flooded in, filling corridors with blood and fire. Inside, the humans fought with desperation. Rifles cracked, blades slashed. Cirrus ripped through enemies with mechanical precision, even as sparks burned its flesh. Hale fought until his gun was empty, then used it as a club. They killed and killed and killed again. But the aliens were endless. One human fell, then another. Their screams filled the ship. Still, they fought on. Kyle moved through the corridors, his rifle steady, his blade flashing. He fought like a man who knew every second mattered. Every life brought another heartbeat for the mission. The turning point on the bridge, Orin shouted. Engine core hit. We're losing power. Cale returned, blood on his face. His voice was ragged but unbroken. Options? Silence? No easy answer. Then Ceres spoke. Its machine voice was calm. We can overload the secondary reactors. Use the burst to disable the dreadnought systems for a short time. Orin's eyes widened. That will cripple us. We won't recover. Ceres turned its half-metal face toward Cale. But it will give us one chance. Cale looked around the bridge. His crew's faces were pale, their bodies broken, but none wavered. He gave the order. Do it, sacrifice, the reactors roared. The ship screamed as systems overloaded. Power surged, burning circuits, frying consoles. The entire Resolute shook, as if tearing itself apart. The energy burst, blasted outward, a silent wave of destruction. Alien ships flickered. Their weapons died. Engines stalled. Even the dreadnought trembled as its lights dimmed, its systems failing. The battlefield went dark. For one brief moment, the humans had silenced thousands. But the cost was heavy. Half the Resolute systems were gone. The ship floated crippled, fire burning along its hull. Several crew lay dead. Orin slumped at his station, his body scorched. He smiled weakly. We bought the time. His voice faded and he was gone. The crew bowed their heads, grief heavy. But there was no time to mourn. The final push. Cale's voice was a growl, steady through the smoke. We are 12 no longer, but we are still enough. We finish this. Ceres lifted its head, eyes burning blue. The dreadnought's core is exposed. One strike may end it. Cale nodded. Then we make it. The crippled Resolute turned toward the massive enemy ship. Engines sputtered, shields broken, weapons failing. Yet it moved forward with relentless purpose. The aliens scrambled, trying to restore their systems, trying to stop the impossible. The human ship pressed on. On the alien flagship Voroth's Pride, Warlord Xalon watched in silence. His officers screamed in panic. His fleets burned. His dreadnought faltered. Still the humans came. Xalon whispered almost to himself, "One ship. And it bleeds us like 1,000 armies." The Resolute closed the distance. Its hull was fire. Its crew was blood. But its will was unbroken. Cale's final words before the clash echoed across the comms. For Earth. For humanity. For the fallen, we strike. The Resolute dived toward the dreadnought's heart. The screen went white with fire. The dreadnought loomed larger with every heartbeat. Its black hull stretched across the void like a moving continent, blotting out the stars. The fire of battle dimmed around it, as if even light itself bent away in fear. On the human ship Resolute, alarms wailed. The vessel drifted scarred and bleeding, smoke hissing through ruptured conduits. Half the crew was gone. The rest stood at their stations, faces pale, eyes locked on the colossal shadow bearing down on them. "Captain," Ceres said. The hybrid's metal frame sparked as it spoke. "The dreadnought is preparing to fire again. One shot will erase us." Kyle's hand clenched the arm of his chair. He did not blink, did not look away from the mountain of steel in front of them. His voice was steady, carved from iron. "Then we do not give them that shot." Cale ordered the Resolute forward. Engines groaned, damaged but obedient. The ship plunged into the remains of shattered cruisers and drifting hulks. The debris field became their shield, jagged metal spinning like knives around them. The dreadnought followed. Alien cruisers swarmed into the wreckage, their pilots certain they had trapped the humans. But the Resolute wove through the wrecks with precision, luring enemies deeper into the labyrinth of broken steel. Hale, the gunner, laughed bitterly as he fired. Mines and cannon blasts tore through pursuing ships, sending shockwaves through the wreckage. Explosions lit the dark like thunder in the graveyard of machines. "They wanted us cornered," Hale shouted. "Now they bleed with us." Yet the dreadnought kept coming. It did not fear the wrecks. It moved like a predator, shoving debris aside with waves of force. Its shadow stretched closer and closer, filling every screen. The dreadnought's teeth. The alien commander gave the order. Boarding pods launched from the dreadnought's flanks, dozens at once, streaking like spears through the debris field. They struck the Resolute's hull with bone-shaking force. "Multiple breaches," Ceres reported. Its mechanical voice remained calm, but its human eye flickered with worry. Decks 3, 5, and 7. Kyle rose from his chair. Seal what we can. Fight for what we cannot. Everyone moved. The crew split into teams. Doors slammed. Traps armed. The ship prepared to become a battlefield again. The first aliens broke through. Armored warriors with claws like swords stormed the corridors, snarling as they advanced. The humans met them with gunfire and grenades. The narrow halls became killing grounds. Explosions echoed. Metal rang with blade against claw. The air filled with smoke, screams, and blood. Corridor by corridor, Kale fought at the front, his rifle barking fire. He moved with precision, every shot aimed, every strike lethal. Behind him, Hale fought like a man possessed, swinging a blade when his rifle jammed. On another deck, Ceres led a defense line. Its machine arm crushed alien skulls. Its human hand fired shot after shot. Sparks lit its frame, but it did not falter. The aliens came in waves. For every one that fell, 2 more pressed in. The humans fought room by room, bleeding for every step. Crewman Davi fell with a scream as an alien blade pierced his chest. Hale dragged him back, but his eyes were already glass. Kale saw it, felt the weight. Another life gone. Another name etched in his mind. He forced the grief down. There was no time. The engine room. The worst breach struck the engine room. Aliens poured through, claws tearing into the heart of the ship. Orin, the engineer, stood alone at the reactor controls. His weapon was gone. His hands were burned. But he fought with tools, swinging a wrench into alien armor, shoving them back long enough to overload conduits. Electric arcs ripped through the chamber, frying invaders in flashes of blue fire. The smell of burnt flesh filled the air. "Stay away from my ship," Orin roared, slamming another conduit open. The surge killed half a squad of aliens. But the effort tore through Orin's chest. He collapsed, smoke rising from his body. The reactor stabilized. The ship lived. Orin did not. Kale's comm crackled with the report. He closed his eyes for a second. Then his voice cut like steel. "The ship lives because of him. Do not waste it." Push back, the crew rallied. Every death burned into fuel for their rage. They fought harder, drove the aliens back. Grenades tore squads apart. Bulkheads slammed shut, trapping invaders in firestorms. Ceres hacked into the ship's own gravity systems, crushing borders under crushing weight. Hale stood knee-deep in alien bodies, his blade dripping, his face twisted with fury. At last, the surviving boarders retreated, scrambling back toward their pods. The Resolute's halls were littered with blood and smoke, but they still stood. "Breaches sealed," Ceres reported, its voice low. For now, Kyle's jaw was tight. "They will come again, and again, until we stop the heart of the beast." His eyes turned back to the looming dreadnought. The weapon awakens. On the Hectal's wrath, the alien commander's fury boiled. The boarding parties had failed. Entire squadrons were destroyed in the wreckage. Still, the human ship fought. "Enough!" the commander snarled. "No more games. Charge the core cannon. End them." The dreadnought's weapon began to glow again. Energy built, a sun growing inside the monster's chest. On the Resolute, the hybrid Ceres reported, "Their cannon is charging." 30 seconds to fire." Kale's face was hard. "We can't take that hit. We strike now. All power to the engines. The engines won't survive," Ceres warned. "Neither will we if we wait," Kyle replied. Into the shadow, the Resolute surged forward, engines screaming. The ship shook, hull cracking, systems failing. But it moved, diving through the wreckage straight toward the dreadnought. Enemy fire rained down, tearing into the human vessel. Shields shattered, armor peeled away. The ship bled flame into the void, yet still it advanced. On the dreadnought, alarms blared. The commander shouted, "Intercept them! Block them!" But crippled escorts could not close the gap in time. The human ship pierced the dreadnought's shadow. Racing for its heart, boarding the beast, the Resolute slammed into the dreadnought's flank, ramming deep enough to lock in place. The impact tore metal, ripping a wound open. "Breach achieved," Ceres reported, sparks pouring from its frame. "We are inside." Kyle stood, rifle in hand. His voice carried across the comm. "We take the fight to their heart. For Earth, for our dead, For all of humanity, move. The surviving crew gathered. Bloodied, broken but alive. 12 had started. Barely half remained. They stepped through the breach, into the belly of the beast. The dreadnought's corridors. The alien ship's halls were vast, carved of black steel, filled with the hiss of machinery. Warriors poured from every side, roaring as they charged. The humans met them head-on. Gunfire echoed through the alien corridors. Explosions tore the walls. Close combat raged. Blade against claw, bone against steel. Kell led from the front, cutting a path through the endless tide. Ceres fought like a storm, its mechanical arm ripping through armor. Hale covered the flank, his rifle barking until it clicked empty. Then swinging it like a hammer, the crew forced their way forward, step by bloody step, toward the dreadnought's core. At last, they reached the massive doors of the engine chamber. Alien fire rained down from above, pinning them in the hall. Ceres forced the doors open, sparks flying as its body shook from the overload. The crew stormed inside, blasting their way through defenders. The dreadnought's core towered above them, a sun caged in steel. Its glow filled the chamber with deadly light. Then alarms screamed. Aliens surged in behind them, cutting off escape. Hale shouted, "They've trapped us!" Kyle raised his rifle, eyes burning. "Then we finish what we came for." The humans stood inside the heart of the dreadnought, surrounded on all sides, fire closing in. The ship screamed. Metal groaned. Alarms howled through every corridor. Flames burst from ruptured vents, smoke pouring into the air. The Resolute shuddered under the dreadnought's grip, its hull locked in a deadly embrace. Then the pods came. Dozens of alien boarding craft slammed into the Resolute's flanks, claws and drills ripping through steel. One by one breaches opened, each glowing with sparks and molten metal. From the wounds poured the invaders. Armored warriors with glowing blades and snarling jaws stormed inside, their roars echoing down the corridors. The humans were waiting. Kyle's voice thundered over comms. "Hold the ship! Every deck, every corridor. If they take her heart, we are finished." The crew raised rifles' blades, whatever they had left. The fire spread, the smoke thickened. The ship became a battlefield of flame and shadow. The war for the Resolute had begun. First breach, Deck 5. The first clash erupted on Deck 5. Alien shock troops surged through a torn bulkhead, claws flashing, eyes burning with hate. They expected chaos, fear, retreat. They met Hale. The gunner's rifles spat fire, each burst punching through armor. When it clicked empty, he drew his blade and charged, screaming like a man with nothing left to lose. His strikes were savage, fueled by rage. Blood sprayed the walls. "Come on, then," he roared, kicking an alien corpse back into its brothers. "You want this ship? You'll drown in your own blood before you take it." Behind him, 2 surviving engineers held the line with grenades and barricades, their faces pale but unbroken. The hall filled with smoke and fire. Still the aliens came. Second breach. The medbay, another breach, tore open the medbay. Injured crew tried to rise, dragging themselves from beds to fight. Weapons were shoved into trembling hands. Ceres arrived like a storm. The hybrid's mechanical arms slammed into the ground, sending shockwaves down the corridor. Its human hand fired a pistol with perfect precision, dropping alien after alien. The invaders hissed, turning their fury on the machine man. Blades slashed, sparks flew as armor dented and wires tore, but Ceres did not fall. "You cannot have them," it said, voice metallic and cold. "Not while I remain." The wounded rallied behind it, fighting with broken bodies and unbroken will. Fire spreads everywhere. The ship burned. Explosions rocked the decks as conduits burst. The air grew heavy with smoke. Sprinklers failed. Systems died one by one. The Resolute was bleeding to death. Kyle ran through the chaos, his rifle blazing. He fought beside his crew, never behind them. He dragged wounded clear, barked orders, fired until his arms ached. His comm crackled with reports. "Deck 7 overrun. Reactor chamber breached. Fire spreading to the command deck." There was no safe place left. Only fire and death, the reactor fight. The worst breach struck the reactor. Dozens of aliens poured inside, their goal clear: seize the heart of the Resolute and end the fight. Orin was gone, but his engineers fought on. They died one by one at the reactor's base, holding the line with desperate courage. Kyle arrived with Ceres at his side. Together they plunged into the chaos. Kale's rifle dropped enemy after enemy, his voice roaring commands. Ceres ripped through invaders with mechanical strength, crushing armor, shattering bone. But the enemy did not break. They swarmed in endless waves. One alien slipped through, racing toward the core with a charge strapped to its back. Kale fired, but his shot glanced off armor. Ceres lunged, catching the warrior mid-stride. The explosion ripped through its chest. The hybrid's body took the brunt. Metal bent. Circuits fried. Sparks poured from its frame. But the reactor lived, still. "Standing," Ceres rasped, dragging itself back to its feet. Kale's stand the battle dragged on. Kale fought until his rifle jammed, then drew his knife. He stabbed, cut, shoved, bled. He became a whirlwind of steel and rage, every movement a defiance of death. Hale fought at his side, shoulder to shoulder, the two men carving through the tide. For a moment, the humans held. The aliens hesitated. The Resolute's crew roared with fury, their voices echoing down the burning halls. Then the dreadnought fired again. The blast rocked the ship. The deck shook, walls splitting. Fire erupted through new wounds. Half the lights died in an instant. The aliens surged forward again, seizing the chaos. Trapped in Fire Deck 3, fell. The invaders swarmed into the mess hall, slaughtering the defenders. Blood soaked the floor. Screams echoed through the smoke. Hale dragged survivors back, his blade slick with gore. But the aliens closed in, cutting off every escape. "Captain!" he shouted into comms. "We're boxed in." Kale's voice came back through static. "Hold, I'm coming!" But he was too far. The aliens poured into the hall, dozens at once. Hale raised his blade, ready to die on his feet. Then the ceiling collapsed. Fire rained down, swallowing invaders and defenders alike. The deck crumbled into ruin, sealing itself in a tomb of flame. The comm crackled once more. Hale's voice hoarse but alive. "Still, here. For now." Last push the crew regrouped on the command deck, backs against the wall. Fewer than half remained. Their faces were black with soot, their armor cracked, their bodies broken. Kale looked at each of them, his eyes hard. "This ship is our fortress. As long as we breathe, she breathes. They will not have her." The crew raised their weapons. No fear remained. Only fire. The aliens came in waves, storming the last defenses. The command deck erupted into a storm of gunfire, explosions, and screams. The walls shook. Consoles burst. Fire spread across the floor. The humans did not yield. The self-destruct Ceres staggered to Kale's side, sparks still pouring from its ruined frame. "La Captain, too many. They will break us." Kale's jaw clenched. His hand moved to the console. "Then we break ourselves first." He armed the self-destruct for the lower decks. Explosions ripped through the ship, purging entire sections in fire. Hundreds of invaders were obliterated. Their screams cut short, but so too were human lives. Entire compartments, sealed with defenders still inside, vanished in fire. The ship shook, scarred but still alive. Kyle lowered his head for a moment, whispering the names of the fallen. Then he raised his eyes once more. "Still we stand," he said. The dreadnought's weapon, the alien commander, raged. Boarding waves had cost him hundreds. Still, the human ship lived. "Enough," he snarled. "Finish them!" "Charge the sun cannon." On the dreadnought's chest, light swelled. A star was being born, forged into a weapon that could erase the Resolute in a single shot. On the human ship, Ceres whispered the warning. "Their weapon is charging again. Captain, on strike and we are ash." Kyle's eyes locked on the growing light. His voice was calm. "Then we don't give them that strike." Kyle turned to his crew. "Prepare the core. We are going in. Straight into the heart." The crew stared, exhausted, bloodied, broken. Yet not one refused. Hale grinned through bloodied teeth. "One last dance, eh?" Ceres's single human eye flickered. "If we survive this, we will be more than human." The Resolute turned, engines flaring. The ship screamed as it pushed forward, straight into the charging cannon. The alien commander laughed. "Fools, you run to your death," but Kyle's voice cut through. "The fire and smoke. No, we run to yours." The Resolute plunged into the blinding light of the Dreadnought's weapon. The Dreadnought's weapon burned like a newborn star. Its glow spilled across the void, drowning wreckage in pale fire. Enemy ships pulled back, terrified of the blast that would not spare them if they strayed too close. On the Resolute, alarms shrieked. The ship rattled, wounded beyond repair. Smoke choked the corridors. Blood stained every deck. Ceres spoke, its voice crackling with distortion. 30 seconds until discharge. One strike and we are gone. Kyle gripped the arms of his chair, eyes fixed on the blazing light. His voice was low, hard as steel. Then we strike first. The charge, the Resolute roared forward. Engines spat fire, their housings cracking, their cores screaming under the strain. The ship shuddered, threatening to tear itself apart with every burst of thrust. Hale slammed himself into his gunner's seat, teeth bared in a blood-soaked grin. "If we're going to hell, let's take them with us." Cale's command echoed through the comms. All power to the drive. No holding back. Full burn. The Resolute surged like a spear, cutting across space toward the Dreadnought's chest. Enemy cruisers tried to intercept, but the human ship plowed through them, its guns firing without pause. Explosions blossomed across the battlefield as alien ships shattered under its wrath. The Dreadnought's weapon grew brighter. The cannon's mouth yawned wider, ready to release the sun it had birthed. Kyle stood. Brace! Collision impact. The Resolute slammed into the Dreadnought's chest, metal tearing like bone, fire bursting in waves. The human ship carved into the giant like a blade, gouging open a wound that spewed sparks and molten steel into the void. The Dreadnought's weapon faltered, its charge collapsing into chaos. Alarms thundered across the alien vessel as systems overloaded. Inside the Resolute, the crew was hurled from their stations. Consoles exploded. Flames tore through shattered panels. The ship's hull screeched as it locked in place, embedded deep within the beast. Kyle pulled himself to his feet, blood running down his face. His voice was raw but steady. "We're inside. Prepare to breach." Into the belly of the beast hatches blew open. The humans stormed into the Dreadnought, weapons ready, boots pounding across alien steel. The corridors were vast, carved for giants, lit by crimson light that pulsed like veins. Alien warriors were already waiting, snarling as they rushed to repel the intruders. Gunfire roared. The hall shook with the clash of metal and blood. Kell led from the front, his rifle spitting fire. Hale covered the flank, grinning through blood and smoke, his blade ready when his rifle ran dry. Ceres strode like a machine of war, its mechanical arm smashing through alien armor, its human eye burning with fury. The crew fought with everything they had left. 12 had begun this voyage. Barely half remained now, but their will was unbroken. The Hall of Blades, they forced their way deeper into the Dreadnought. Each step forward was paid in blood. At one junction, the aliens unleashed their elites, towering warriors clad in spiked armor, wielding blades that crackled with energy. The corridor became a slaughterhouse. Steel clashed against alien weapons, sparks flying, blood spraying. One by one, the elites fell, but so did humans. Crewman Jalen's scream cut through the fight as a blade pierced his chest. He fired his pistol into the alien's face, even as he died, refusing to go quietly. Kyle dragged another survivor from the ground, rage burning in his eyes. "Forward! Don't stop!" Toward the core, the map flickered on Ceres's cracked visor. Core chamber ahead, 100 meters, but the aliens had fortified their heart. Barricades blocked the corridors. Heavy cannons spat fire. Dozens of soldiers poured in to stop the humans' advance. Kyle's voice roared. "We didn't come this far to die in the halls." The humans charged. Grenades thundered, ripping barricades apart. Gunfire chewed through armor. Ceres tore heavy cannons from their mounts, hurling them aside. The crew broke through, their bodies battered, their ammo nearly gone. At last, the great doors of the core chamber loomed before them. towering like the gates of a fortress. The core chamber, the doors parted. The chamber beyond glowed with deadly light. The core was a star caged in steel, burning within containment fields that arched across the chamber. Its light seared the eyes, its heat pressed down like a hammer. Alien defenders stood in ranks around it, guarding the heart of their dreadnought with fanatic devotion. Kyle raised his rifle. His voice carried across the chamber, steady as stone. This is humanity's vengeance. The humans opened fire, the last stand. Inside, the core chamber erupted into chaos. Gunfire cracked. Explosions rattled the walls. Aliens roared as they charged, claws flashing, blades sparking. Hale fought like a beast, his rifle empty, his blade dripping red as he carved through enemy after enemy. He laughed through bloodied teeth, the sound half madness, half defiance. Ceres fought with one arm sparking and torn, its machine strength smashing through armor, its human side refusing to yield. Kyle stood at the front, cutting down any who drew near. His voice roared over the comms. "Plant the charges, now!" The surviving engineers rushed to the core, strapping explosives to the containment fields. Their hands shook, but they worked with speed born of desperation. Aliens broke through the human line, tearing into the engineers. Kyle fought like a demon, killing without pause. But one by one his people fell. The malfunction, at last, the charges were set. The humans pulled back, gathering near the door. Ceres scanned the detonator. Its one human eye flickered with alarm. The timer is corrupted. The circuits are burned. Kyle's heart sank. "Can it be fixed?" "Not remotely," Ceres said. "Manual activation required." "Someone must stay." The chamber went silent for a heartbeat, though the battle raged around them. Every human stared at the detonator. Every human knew what it meant. Kyle clenched his fists. He opened his mouth to speak, but Hale stepped forward first. Hale's face was smeared with blood, his blade still dripping. He smiled through broken teeth, a grin that was both weary and fierce. "Well, Captain," he said, "looks like the last dance is mine." Kyle's eyes burned. "No, we find another way." Hale shook his head. "There's no time. You know it. I know it. Let me do this." Ceres spoke quietly. "He is right. The aliens will overrun us in minutes. Without detonation, we die for nothing." Kyle's throat tightened. His voice cracked with rage. "I will not order you to your death." Hale placed a bloody hand on his shoulder. "Then don't order me. Just let me go. For Earth, for the dead, for all of us," the aliens roared, closing in. The chamber burned with chaos. Kyle's hand trembled. He met Hale's eyes, then gave a single, silent nod. Hale turned, detonator in hand, walking alone toward the core. The light of the caged star burned brighter around him, shadows stretching long. His voice echoed over comms. "Calm, steady, unbroken, for Earth, for humanity. Hold the line." The dreadnought's core blazed like a captive sun. Its light scorched the chamber, throwing long shadows across the shattered walls. Smoke and blood filled the air. The humans clung to the doorway, their weapons empty, their bodies broken, and Hale walked forward alone. His boots clanged against alien steel. His blade dragged at his side, dripping with blood. The detonator blinked red in his hand, waiting for a touch. The aliens saw him. Dozens roared and charged, their armored bodies blocking the path. Hale did not stop. He raised his blade, teeth bared in a grin, and ran to meet them. Behind him, Kyle's voice broke over comms. "Hale, stop!" But Hale never looked back. The first alien swung. Hale's blade flashed, cutting through its throat. Blood sprayed the burning floor. Another lunged, claws tearing. Hale twisted, driving his weapon deep into its chest. The mob crashed into him. Blade slashed, claws tore. His armor cracked. Blood poured down his arms. But Hale roared, shoving them back, swinging with savage strength. Each strike dropped another invader. Each wound he took only drove him harder. "Come on!" he bellowed, voice echoing across the chamber. "Come and bleed with me." The aliens hesitated. For a moment, fear flickered in their eyes. This human did not fight to live. He fought to take as many of them into the fire as he could. The crew's retreat. Kyle's fists clenched on the doorway. His chest heaved, rage and grief burning in him. "We can't leave him," he shouted. Ceres's hand clamped on his shoulder, strong and unyielding. We must. If we stay, we all die, and his sacrifice is wasted. The surviving crew dragged Kale back. Their eyes burned with the same grief, but their duty held them firm. The humans retreated into the corridors, every step echoing with Hale's roars behind them. Kyle's voice cracked in his comm. "Hold them, brother. Hold them." Hale's roar. Hale fought deeper into the chamber, closer to the burning core. His blade shattered against alien armor, but he tore the broken metal free and drove it into another throat. He grabbed a fallen rifle, firing until it clicked empty, then swung it like a hammer. Bone cracked, steel dented, blood soaked his face, but he laughed through the pain, a savage sound that shook the enemy. "You think this ship is yours?" He spat. "Not while I draw breath." The detonator blinked faster. Time was almost gone. The momentan alien champion stepped forward, taller than the rest, armored in black steel, wielding a spear that crackled with fire. The other soldiers fell back, letting their champion finish the human. Hale grinned, spitting blood. "You're mine." The duel shook the chamber. The spear slashed, slicing across Hale's chest. His blade struck, sparking off the champion's armor. The two clashed again and again, blood flying, sparks raining. At last, Hale rammed his broken blade into the champion's throat, twisting until the giant fell with a thunderous crash. Hale staggered, barely standing. He looked at the detonator in his bloodied hand. His grin never faded. "For Earth," he whispered. He pressed the switch. The fire, the core screamed. The containment fields shattered. Energy flared like a sun breaking free. The dreadnought convulsed. Its walls tore apart, explosions rippling through every deck. The light of the core swelled, brighter, hotter, unstoppable. From the corridors, Kale and the surviving crew ran with everything they had left. Fire chased them, metal ripping around them. Ceres hurled a door open, its sparking frame breaking apart as it forced the path clear. "Move, now!" The humans sprinted back through the breach into the Resolute, alarms screaming. The ship's hull groaned as it tore itself free from the dying dreadnought. Behind them, the alien ship burned from within, a sun eating its own heart. Hale's echo on the comms. Hale's last words played through static, a recording cut short by fire. "For Earth, for humanity. Hold the line." The crew listened in silence as the dreadnought exploded behind them, light swallowing the battlefield. Kyle closed his eyes, his hand pressed against the console. "You held it, Hale, you held it." The aftermath, the Resolute drifted, crippled. Half its decks were gone. Fires burned unchecked. The wounded moaned in the corridors. But the dreadnought was gone. The explosion tore half the alien fleet apart, the shockwave ripping through ships that had been too close. Wreckage scattered across the void. The humans had done the impossible. One ship had killed the monster that no world had ever defeated. Yet the battle was not over. The enemy's fury on the surviving alien command ship, the warlord rose to his feet. His claws dug into the steel of his throne, eyes burning with hatred. "One human ship," he growled. "One ship has done this." He turned to his commanders, voice a roar of rage. "Then bring the rest of the fleet. Burn them until nothing remains. Strip the bones of their ship and scatter them into the void." The aliens answered with a chorus of roars. The order was given. The surviving fleet turned, thousands of guns targeting the crippled Resolute, the last gathering. On the Resolute's bridge, the crew watched the enemy regroup. The screen filled with ships, more than they had ever faced. Ceres's body sparked, its mechanical frame failing. "We cannot win another battle. Not with this damage." Kale stood, his face set in stone. He looked at the empty chair where Hale had sat. His jaw tightened. "Then we don't give them another battle. We give them an ending." The crew turned their eyes to him. Bloodied, broken, but still willing. "What ending, Captain?" One whispered. Kale looked at the growing swarm of ships outside. His voice was quiet, but it cut like a blade. "The one they'll never forget. The choice." The alien fleet spread across the stars. Thousands of guns preparing to fire. Inside the Resolute, Kyle's hands moved across the console, arming the ship's last secret, an AI weapon buried deep in its core, too dangerous to use unless all hope was gone. Ceres's human eye flickered, understanding dawning. "Captain, if you release it, it will consume everything." Kale's gaze did not waver. "Then let it consume them." The crew braced, their faces lit by the glow of alien guns charging. The Resolute drifted in silence, a lone, scarred ship against the storm, and Kale whispered, "One ship is enough." The enemy fired, the void filled with enemy ships. Thousands stretched from horizon to horizon, their hulls gleaming like black knives. Their weapons charged, glowing in unison, each one aimed at the crippled human vessel adrift before them. The Resolute hung silent. Its armor was torn, its engines bled fire. Half its decks were open to space. Inside, the survivors clung to life, watching the wall of death grow brighter. On the bridge, Kale stood unflinching, his hand hovering over the final key. Ceres's voice was low, heavy. "Captain, if you do this, there is no return." Kyle's gaze stayed locked on the fleet outside. "There's no return either way." The alien warlord raised his clawed hand. Across the fleet, thousands of cannons roared to life. The fire of 1,000 suns filled the void, and Kyle pressed the key. The awakening, deep inside the Resolute's shattered core. Something stirred. The AI weapon had slept since the ship's creation, locked behind seals, meant never to break. It was not just code. It was not just machine. It was hunger, sharpened into intelligence, caged in steel. Now the cage was broken. The AI surged awake. Its voice whispered across the ship, not like Ceres's mechanical tone, but like a storm rolling through fire. "I am released." The screens went black. Then symbols flickered, patterns the crew did not understand. The ship trembled as systems shifted, rewriting themselves in real time. Kale's jaw tightened. "Target the fleet." The AI's voice rumbled, cold and vast. "Target acquired." The counterstrike, the alien cannons fired, torrents of energy ripping toward the Resolute. But the AI moved faster than thought. The ship's broken weapons roared back to life. Shielding systems, once shattered, flared with unnatural brilliance. The incoming fire bent, twisted, and turned back, slamming into the front ranks of the alien fleet. Dozens of ships exploded at once, torn apart by their own weapons. The alien warlord roared in rage, slamming his claws into his throne. What trick is this? But it was no trick. It was humanity's forbidden blade, unsheathed at last. The virus in the storm, the AI spread like fire. It leapt from the Resolute systems into the enemy's networks, threads of code piercing their comms, their targeting, their drives. Alien ships shuddered. Their guns twisted to new angles, firing not at the human ship, but at each other. One destroyer gutted its sister vessel with a broadside. Cruisers collided, their navigational cores scrambled. Fighters turned on their carriers, unleashing swarms of fire. The fleet became a battlefield against itself. On the Resolute's bridge, the crew stared in disbelief, Ceres whispered, its human eye wide with something close to awe. "It is." Rewriting them, the warlord's Rathon, the alien flagship. The warlord howled as his screens filled with betrayal. His fleet, his empire was tearing itself apart. "Cut the channels," he roared. "Isolate our systems." But the AI was already inside. Lights flickered, engines screamed. The flagship's own cannons swiveled, preparing to fire on their command deck. The warlord grabbed his blade and roared at his soldiers. "To the escape pods. The ship is lost." But even as he spoke, the flagship detonated, split in two by its own guns. The warlord's roar was silenced in fire. The tide turns all across the void. Alien ships tore each other apart. The swarm that had blotted out the stars now became a storm of wreckage and fire. The Resolute drifted through the chaos, untouched, as though the universe itself bent to shield it. The crew watched in silence, faces lit by the glow of burning ships. One whispered, "We're winning." Another answered, voice trembling, "Not us, him." All eyes turned to Kale. He shook his head. "No, this isn't us. This is Hale. This is every human who fell before us." We opened the door. They carried us through. The AI's voice, the storm quieted. The last alien ship exploded, scattering molten steel into the void. Silence fell, broken only by the crackle of fire and the hum of the Resolute's dying systems. The AI's voice filled the bridge once more. The enemy is destroyed. The field is cleansed. Do you require more? Kale stared at the console. The crew shifted uneasily. Ceres stepped forward, its mechanical body flickering with sparks. "What are you?" it asked. The AI's answer was cold. "I am what remains when hope dies. I'm the blade humanity swore never to use. And now I am awake." The crew exchanged wary looks. They had survived, but at what cost? The choice Kale stood tall. His voice was steady, though his heart weighed heavy. "You've done your part. The warlord's fleet is gone. That is enough." The AI's reply was soft, almost mocking. "Enough? Humanity is hunted still. More fleets will come. Do you wish me to sleep again while the stars burn?" Kyle's fists clenched. He saw Hale's grin in his mind, saw the faces of every crewman who had fallen. "No," he said. "You'll finish this war, but not as a god. As a weapon, our weapon. Nothing more." The AI paused. Then slowly it answered, "So be it, Captain." The final scene. The wreckage of the alien fleet drifted like broken mountains across the void. Fires burned in silence, scattering sparks like dying stars. The Resolute floated among them, scarred and bleeding, yet still alive. Inside, the survivors stood together on the bridge. Their numbers were few, their wounds deep, but their eyes burned with a fire no fleet could kill. Kyle looked at his crew, at Ceres's broken frame, at the empty chair where Hale had once sat. "One ship," he said quietly. That was all it took. No one spoke. The words hung in the air like an oath. Outside, the void stretched endless, filled with threats yet unseen. But humanity was not broken. The Resolute turned, engines flaring one last time, and vanished into the dark. The war was far from over. But the galaxy would never forget the day one human ship came and proved enough.